Hello and welcome to John and Leon's Elvis Reviews, episode 10. And this week we're focusing on Elvis's last feature-length movie, which was Change of Habit. There's not a lot of songs within this movie. There's only four. So we'll be just fitting the four songs within the movie and how they're placed in the movie, etc. like that. This week, as always, I'm joined by Leon Smith. How are you doing today, Leon?
How you doing, John?
Yeah, busy week. Been on holiday this week, but like I say, it's just been getting stuff done around the house. Not much to do really. Been looking forward to this one for a while. It's one of my favourite Elvis movies. Not just because it's the last one, and I feel like as an Elvis fan, it's a little bit of a relief on Elvis's part that he's getting to escape Hollywood and stuff like that. So you feel a bit of a relief for him, as well as an Elvis fan, and I really like the movie because of its content and the change of direction that Elvis was going with the last, say, four movies prior. And it's the first movie after the 1969 session, so Elvis's career was on top by that point. And as a whole, brilliant movie. Great, an unusual casting, I have to say.
Yeah.
But it worked well, and it seemed to bounce off Elvis quite well. And Elvis got his teeth really into this role. He actually took acting classes, which Elvis was dead against for a long, long time. He just sort of did it naturally. But this time, he got coached a little bit on how to react and act with other actors. And you can see that in the movie, though. You can see real emotion, as it's not like Elvis just walking through the movie as per normal. It's not just Elvis playing Elvis. He's actually playing a character, and a believable character at that.
Yeah, it's almost a forgotten movie. A lot
it
of
really is.
Yeah, a lot of firsts and lasts with the movie. First time he played a proper professional. It was actually like in an actual profession. A qualified profession in a movie. First movie for Universal. First and last movie for Universal. It was his last recording session of the 60s as well, coming just after the March, so just after the Memphis ones had finished.
And last promotional pictures as well, to be professionally done for any sort of promotional shots, they were the final ones. So as you say, Leon, a lot of firsts and finals within that movie, and
it goes places.
Those places that, you know what, Leon, even other movies of the time didn't really go to either. And as I said earlier, there it wasn't the formulatic movie that we're so used to seeing throughout the 60s. Probably from, say, Live a Little onwards, totally different directions for Elvis as in the movie career, but a little too late really by that point. I think Elvis lost heartening with the whole thing.
It was one of the last Elvis movies that I ever saw. And when I saw it, I couldn't believe how different it was. There's the direction, places it went. It went and looked at things like racism. It looked at things like poverty. It looked at things like it went in a lot of serious. Of course, there's an attempted rape scene in the movie. It's all absolutely everything they don't associate with this movie.
Do you find it crammed a lot of issues into one movie, though?
Yeah, I think that
it got a bit full on. Like I think it was trying to prove too many points here.
I think if we're going to talk about the cons of the movie, then I think there's a couple. I think it needed a better director. It needed, because I think in what is essentially a 90-minute movie probably would have been better being maybe 120 minutes or so. I think that would probably been better.
To fill out those issues within the movie, because they don't delve into it as
I think
much as they should have.
Well, I'll give you one example. One of the problems that I have with the movie is the rage reduction scene. Now, as well as it's done, that sort of thing would take more than one session for that. So it's essentially like what is would maybe be months or weeks of treatment therapy being crammed into what's essentially 10 into say 5 minutes, and it's only, even though it's squeezed into 5 minutes, and it takes longer than that, it's essentially just one visit to the doctor. So I think with a child as traumatized as she was, and with that rage reductions, I think that should have been spread over longer.
Some of it's not very believable.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
His character is,
yes,
but the issues raised, as you say, are not so believable.
Yeah, and also I think with the greatest will in the world, Mary Tyler Moore is not Anne Margaret, and nor is she, it's just, nor is she Shelley Fabry. I think the chemistry's not there.
I think there's no chemistry, none whatsoever in the movie. And there's a little thing about that movie where when you see the scenes with her in it, her face looks really white.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that, because she had a skin condition, and they had to put a lot of light on her face when they're doing her scenes. And now that you see it in full HD, like it's not no disrespect to her and her condition, but it just, you can tell that there's an additional lighting done within these scenes. It's quite uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, I just think it's, see, some of the casting's actually quite good. I mean,
I like Michelle, aka Barbara McNair, who played the character.
Yeah,
her and Elvis' scenes were very good. I like those scenes.
Yeah, I think they actually, to be honest, I think they actually had a bit more chemistry than probably
The Leading Lady.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely true.
And the girl who played Barbara, the young girl, that was her debut acting role as well, and they hit it off quite well.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes as well, casting wise, was Robert Emhart as the banker, because if you remember, you see him in Kid Galahad, and it's hard. But I think you really had to have somebody who could get their teeth into that role, because he's supposed to be terrorising this neighbourhood for protection.
He doesn't look in the slightest.
No, he doesn't. No, he does. There's no credibility to him carrying off that role, and I think that also goes back to perhaps maybe the director being. I think a lot of that's the problem as well. I mean, William A. Graham.
But then again, a director can only do so much with the movie, though. It's what they've been given.
Yeah, but the problem with William A. Graham is that he was a television director. So he directed
same with Charo.
Charles Warren, exactly. I think the problem here is that he's essentially filmed it like a TV show, and I don't.
It's very like a TV show.
Yeah, well, exactly, because TV shows don't. You have to cram a lot into what's maybe an hour, and you skim a lot of things.
It was kind of like something you would find on a TV show with an hour special or something like that. Like a feature special. That because it was NBC and Universal hand in hand, because that was the deal that they done with the comeback special. So
yeah.
But
we have to say, John.
Fair play to Universal for. Yeah, I mean, fair play to Universal for going to that direction for Elvis, and they didn't just see Elvis as the formulaic actor. They've given him something to work with here.
Yeah, he did. But I think since we've mentioned the cons, I mean, as I say, I don't want anyone to think that means that we don't like the movie, because we really do like it, and I really, really, really do like it, and I'll put Change of Heart on before an awful lot of the movies in the Elvis category. But there's also, what I tell you what there is in it. There's an awful lot of good humour in it as well. I think the scene at the Ajax Market, I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think the scene at the Ajax Market is very, very good.
Well, I mean, I think it's because as well, though, Leon, he's supposed to be a doctor, and doctors are supposed to be quite down to earth and human.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows Elvis's genuine side as a person, not just an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think you can see Elvis is relaxed because you can see that it's almost a break free for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not just walking through the movie. There's not just going through the motions. He's really got himself into this movie, and you can tell he's even changed his hairstyle for the role.
It looks like it looks like the 1960-97 Las Vegas Elvis. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that movie. It's so close to that season anyway, because Change of Habit was commenced filming in March, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and there was a quote from Priscilla saying she was so glad that he changed his hairstyle for a few weeks because it wouldn't leave any hair gel on the furniture, because it was just blow dried. There was nothing in the hair, and you could tell.
Yeah.
And it was feather cut, and it quite suited him having like a side part as well going on there.
I also think the two old ladies can be quite funny, but as much as, especially I was just going to say that, as much as they actually have some of the funniest lines in the movie, especially the bit where they've just been to the cinema and they demand their money, they're talking about having demanded their money back. I think that's very good. But when Barbara McNair is entering into the flat, that really is one of the most cutting pieces of racism that you'll ever hear anywhere.
It's not exactly subtle, is it?
No, I know, but I absolutely love the line that they say when they go actually into the flat, and it says, because of course they're undercover nuns, remember, and it says, it sounds like my neighbours are Catholic, and I think is it Mary Tyler Moore's character? She turns around and says, yeah, too bad I'm not Christian, which I think is a really, really, really good line. I really think that's really
witty.
It is a great comeback. It's a great comeback. It really is.
There's a scene. There's two favourite scenes in the movie of mine, and it's where Elvis tries to give Barbara, the advice to, like, don't mess with the banker, and and Elvis tries to, like, she's saying, well, I want to come to reality of living around here, and he says, well, a nurse is usually up to her ears in reality, and she, like, borrows some money, to deliberately not pay the money back to the banker, to say, look, we can fight this guy. You don't have to take this behavior from this person. And I just love the whole. He's not putting her down. He's just giving her some friendly advice to say, like, don't do it. Then she says, like, do you know what it's like to be hungry, poor, and black? And then Elvis's character goes, like, I've been all that but black. And I just absolutely love that line. And then she goes on about, I don't want to quote too much on this because it's like, but because it's not another nigger in the street. And you see Elvis's character getting, like, uncomfortable within that scene. And, that's really good acting from the two.
Yeah. And
then also there's the rape scene, unfortunately, which happens to Mary Tyler Moore's character, Michelle, at the end. And, just the whole way John, character Elvis plays, which I absolutely love that. The fact that he's called John in it. Yeah. And the way he comforts her, and I thought that's really great acting. It's phenomenal.
I also like the way that he fights off Hulu as well. I think that's quite good.
And he doesn't hurt him. He just disarms him, and and he sees that the guy's troubled, and it's not. That's mental health as well there.
Yeah, but you see, we were talking about. We were texting back and forward during the week. We were talking about different some great movie lines, and we were talking about the ones from Kid Galahad. But I tell you, one of Elvis's best lines is actually in this movie. That's just a personal opinion, of course, and it's only a few words. It's when he sees Sister Michelle for the first time back in the habit, and he just goes, "I'll be damned." And I just think the way he delivers that line is absolutely spot on.
He shows
Oh,
genuine anger.
absolutely. It's I think it's
very
shock
upset.
and surprise all in the one go. And I think it's really, really. But I tell you what else. He shows he's good. See, when he goes to the convent, and the way he's talking to his machine, and he just the way he says that this place can kind of slow you down, if you know what I mean. I just think he's really good at the way he does that. I really think it's. I think it shows the actor that he became, and all of that potential that was there was still left. A lot of it was left untapped.
Untapped, yeah. Because I think Elvis would have become a very, very good actor if he had gone. Yeah, I mean, see, at the time, Elvis didn't know he was leaving for good. It was just a break.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, never got into the movies ever again.
Yeah, it's just the way his career went, the way his personal life went. But who knows?
Too busy for Hollywood. Too busy for Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, even as far as June 1972, when he's.
I think Elvis was. I think he would have been very careful with the project because he's obviously been, and the contract that would have been presented to him. He didn't want to be stuck there for 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a contract that he wasn't happy with. I think he was old enough to think, no, I'm not 21 here. I'm going to just make sure if I get something, it's going to be on my terms.
I also think that,
and rightly so to him.
But I also think into the 70s, the way Hollywood work had changed, because if you remember the sort of contracts that Elvis was signed into, he was signed into a studio for so many movies or whatever, or so many years. But by the 70s, it wasn't like that. I think it came on a movie by movie basis. So a studio could have you for one movie. They'd send you up for a movie and that would be it. As opposed to where Elvis had this contract with MGM almost through most of the 60s. And so he was just kind of tied into the one studio. But I also think that even if you take the from the very first scene when you've got that intro and you hear Change of Habit, I think even that in itself is a revelation. You've got that wonderful bass line that comes in to start off, but you've also got, it's like the movie's beginning as the credits are rolling. There's no other movie quite like that. You get, I mean, like for example, you have, say, The Trouble with Girls has a prologue, where you have the black and white bit. You have maybe Stay Away Joe, where you've got some scenery playing over the top, but actually the movie beginning.
I lose interest in those movies because of that fact, though.
Yeah.
Because The Trouble with Girls, I love the movie, but the start's just, why? Doesn't need that. It just takes too long to get into. I lose interest. But like you say, Change of Habit starts quick.
You have that you have a tiny wee prologue at the start where the three nuns are been told they're going incognito and they're getting sent out, and then as Change of Habit plays and the credits roll, you see the change. You see them going in, you see them taking their habit off, you see them going into civilian clothes, but of course in that scene you have the first bit of humour in that as well, when you have the policeman who's manning the crossing. You see the contact when they're nuns, he stops all the traffic and lets them across, and then we come back just looking at all the civilians. He shouts at them for crossing the road, telling them he decides when you can cross the road. I think that's
goes to show you that what a change could do, and how society sees a nun and how society sees a normal person.
Absolutely.
And but with the first track, obviously was Change of Habit, because you don't see him physically perform the song.
I'll tell you what, John.
Great song.
I was just going to say that there, John. I think if you listen to the lyrics, much like Clean Up Your Own Backyard from The Trouble with Girls, I think the lyrics have never been more relevant.
Yeah.
A changing world. These are changing days. I think.
Also a change of what direction Elvis was going in. So it was titled very well, I think.
I also think it's got one of the best lines in any of those types of songs, where don't count any medal, son, they're pinning none on you. I really think that's a really put down. I think that's really, really clever.
I love the drums, the percussion work on that. It's it's so basic, such a basic track, but the rhythm section is just up there, and it's groovy. It's like I got a late 60s sound. Yeah, and bass heavy, drum heavy. I love it.
You know,
Great song.
It was done at Decca Studios.
Decca, yeah.
Yeah, but it could so easily have been done at American Sound, because the sound, that bass is very like a lot of that stuff that was just the month before.
You'll find the song released on Let's Be Friends from the RCA Camden or RCA International album released in 1970. So you'll find it on there if you need to find. Well, that's on vinyl, but I think on Spotify now it is released as on Let's Be Friends. Great song. I mean, it's not really much to really say about it, because there's no sort of context within the movie where it fits. It's just an opening song.
Yeah.
But the real opener to the movie, really, when you see Elvis singing a song, is the first time you see Elvis as well in the movie, and that was Rubbernecking.
I think that's very clever bit of mark. I think that's very clever. You take a song, you take a song from the Memphis sessions, and you thrust it into a movie. Now, if you think what they did with Tickle Me, well, they took all those songs that were left over from Nashville session that hadn't been used on an album and just put them into the movie to save money. But this is a song which is not as if it's been left over for an album, because it's only the movie, as you said, John, started being shot in the March. He's only just finished the session, so no albums come out yet. So it's not as if that song's maybe left over. So they take that from that and they put it in there.
They don't even know the set list of the songs yet.
Oh, absolutely.
Or singles or anything yet.
And it's so clever, because it just looks like it gets into the sort of background of John Carpenter, the Doctor, and what he does to ingratiate himself with the community that he serves. Yeah. And I think it's really well done. And do you know, I watched that, and it took the whole day to film that, and I'm thinking to myself, if you look at the way that that's edited, how many takes did they do for that? There must have been enough. But what we do know is that Elvis's fingers were absolutely red raw by the end of the day, by just strumming that guitar all the way through that day during that session.
There's a part in that song where he's giving a girl eye contact, right? And she does the whole, that whole like, yeah. And I think she's stunning. I always thought she is a gorgeous girl, and the way the chemistry is between her and him, and there's no words spoken. He's just singing, but you can tell that there's something going on there, and I think that's so cleverly edited. The only thing I don't like about it is the song's broken up, but obviously it has to, because it has to work its way in the movie. But I like what you've did with the movie, and you've done with the songs from the movie. You've edited into one track where it's start to finish, which works really well. Yeah.
It's just a pity that YouTube won't accept any of the clips from the movie.
Unfortunately, folks, it's just I mean, this week it's just going to have to be a chat, unfortunately, about it. But it's the laws of YouTube, unfortunately. But there is the original tracks you can go and find. They're all there. Unfortunately, it's not the edited ones that Leon's done, and believe you me, they are gems. I mean, what else we could talk about the movie? I mean,
I think you also get straight after Rubbernecking, when they come down, you also get that. That's where you get the revelation that he's a doctor at a free clinic. It's set in New York, but there are some giveaways that it's not actually in New York. But that's it's just one of those things.
That's pure movie making, really.
But also like that kind of misunderstanding that he thinks they're just girls that are there looking for birth control, or they've managed to get themselves into trouble and they're there for what I say, it was essentially him prenatal care. I think that's quite good.
I remember seeing it as a 10-year-old for the first time, and I thought I just didn't get it because it was too mature for me. Like I say, it's not the box standard blue Hawaii girls.
No, it's not.
It's well away from that.
It's not.
And a lot of the stuff went right over my head. And I think that's why I appreciate it more as an adult, because I understand it now. And You know, I can appreciate it for a mature, dramatized movie. And I think, do you know what, Leon? I think Elvis's last 4 movies all went over my head as a kid because they were all change of direction and a lot maturer content.
Yeah, absolutely right. But I also think that when you get, there's also, you have that wee bit of what's essentially Laudamus Claudia that he's playing on the piano as well, that we've got to mention. Yeah. But of course, he doesn't sing any lyrics to it. He just does that. That's just, he just kind of hums and scats his way through the thing with it.
I'm going to ask the viewers, and we'll put it down, put your comments down below. And I think Leon would like to ask this one too. I'm going to ask Leon's opinion actually as well on this one. You know what? It ends on a cliffhanger, doesn't it? So it's like, does she go for Elvis's character or does she go back to being a nun? Who knows? What do you think, everybody? What's your views on that? What do you think, Leon? What do you think happened?
No, I absolutely don't have a clue. I really don't. It's clever the way it ends. It is.
Yeah, it really is.
See, what's always I like about that end scene and about the movie in general is that I'm a Catholic, and I'm a Catholic that goes to mass, so all my life. So that end scene was right up my street, but I understood everything, and I remember that what I can understand. So I completely get the dilemma that Sister Michelle's in, but it was a real, the whole thing. Like see that sort of grumpy priest that you had in there, you had in that that Father Gibbons, right?
Yeah. Not the funky.
We had a priest like when I was younger, so I knew exactly where he couldn't embrace any sort of change at all. But again, the two ladies in, I don't want to spoil everything in the movie, but anybody that's not seen it, but the line that those two ladies have in that final scene, I think is really, really relevant, and I really got that, and really funny when they mention it, but go to mass, I really think that's good. But I think that let us pray at the end is absolutely superb. I really think that closing scene. But I'm kind of thinking about your question as I'm talking here, John, and you know, I really can't. It's just one of those. I don't think there is any definitive answer to it.
I think it could have went either way, really.
Yeah. I think it could have. I think had they brought it to an ending, I think there's only one way it could have went. I think that would have been.
I think she would have went. Yeah, would have went for John. She would have went for a life with John, I think.
Yes. Yeah,
I know we skipped the song. I mean, there is Have a Happy, and you know, such a brilliant song. I mean, it's a bit cheesy, but you know, it works well within the movie itself.
I'll tell you what I think of Have a Happy. Change a Habit, Let Us Pray, and Rubbernecking. All great as standalone songs, all good songs. Yeah, Have a Happy is perfect and works great for what it's meant, that carousel scene. I think that's absolutely fantastic for that. And do you know, I think it gets lumped into with a lot of the silly movie songs, and I think that's really, really unfair. If you listen to the song on its own, then I can understand that. But if you listen to the song and watch the movie at the same time and listen to it properly, you can hear that Elvis Memphis 69 sound.
Oh yeah.
You can hear that Elvis is really committed to that vocal. Yeah. If you go to some of the songs, maybe from Double Trouble, Paradise Hawaiian Style, even some of the songs in Easy Come Easy Go or Clambake, if you listen to his vocal in that, it's kind of that bored Elvis. But when you listen to Have a Happy, it's as much as it's nothing but a movie song. Yeah. Elvis's vocal is completely committed, and it really is. Yeah.
He doesn't sound bored in the slightest, and you know, and it's cleverly written. It's it's of the time as well.
I think it works great in that scene as well. I think it works well, and it really does work well in that scene. It's also a real pity that there's no outtakes from any of those songs as well. I think that's apart from Rubberneck.
I think that was because of the Decca sessions. It depends on who was producing the soundtrack. Well, the sessions, and they've not kept it. I don't know. It's a number of things that could be wrong there, but there really isn't much to really raise with this movie. Just to say, it's a really great movie. And if you've not seen it, go and visit it. And like Leon says, it's a forgotten movie. It needs to be visited. It needs to have the recognition that it deserved. Because sometimes us as fans forget about it. I go, I've not seen Change of Habit for a long time. I'll chuck it on and think, oh my God, such a great movie. And that's why I wanted to review it this week, because I seen it the other week there for the first time in a long, long time. And I thought, no, we need to review this. And, we've had a couple of negative comments about this movie, about doing it. But, we can't just skip it because someone else doesn't like it.
I also think do you think we need to mention Let's Be Friends? Do you think we need to mention that? I know it wasn't included in the movie, but it was recorded for the movie, but never
recorded for the movie. No, that's a good point you've made there, Leon. Yeah, Let's Be Friends was intended for the movie, but cut. Brilliant song. It's about friendship, somebody needing a friend. It talks about loneliness. It talks about people being isolated from a group. Somebody that's been. It's such a great song.
But I think, see what's. I think see a couple of. I think it would have slowed the movie down even more having that extra song in the movie. But one of the problems, if we're really going to be really harsh and real on the movie, I think this is also down to the director being a TV director. I think the pacing is also too slow as well. I think the pacing's too slow, and sometimes
can be a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Can be a little bit boring, and I'm not saying boring. I think you lose it loses my attention sometimes,
and I think that's the problem.
Especially the part when they're decorating the flat.
Yeah,
it goes on. And it's very TV-esque, and that's where they should have had a movie director rather than a TV one.
I mean, there's some real menacing scenes in it as well. You've got to be honest. I mean, the scene where Sister Irene is confronted when she's doing her rounds, I think, for when they want to know which side she's on. I think that's quite menacing as well. I think,
and those two guys warned her when they noticed that she's a nun and they actually have her back. And remember when the fight scene,
we'll look after our own, yeah.
Look after their own, and that's it. Like we say, it covers a lot of boundaries, that movie. But it covers. Hats off that it's trying to cover a lot of issues, but it's covering too many.
Yeah, I think for the length of movie that it is, I think it covers too much. I think it had been quicker paced and a bit longer. I think if you're going to tackle subjects, I think you have to tackle them properly.
I think as well that if they'd done the Helio thing, the character where it's his problem, that could have been one source of the movie all the way through. They could have stuck with that one plot line.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, also, I mean, that's the thing. You see him come in for treatment just the once when he's kind of stuttering a bit, and that's where Sister Michelle decides she's going to change the project.
When I first seen that movie, I thought, whoa, it's gone from that to raping someone. It's like, where did that even come from?
Well, see, the problem with that is that too many of the characters in the movie are two-dimensional and a bit too cliche. If that's it. The banker, he's too. You don't. There's no backstory as to how he is how he is what he is. He's just there.
In there, is there?
Yeah, he's just there. It's not as if nobody says he came from such, and
it's a random character.
It is, and I think that's a lot of
that could have been rewritten into a very, very good movie.
It could have been, but
it was done properly. I think I like it for what it is. I like it because it's a change of direction. I think that's why I love it in the first place. Songs are really decent, strong.
We're sitting here look to Steven Spielberg's here, aren't we?
You can make it so much better. But I think I feel, I mean, we're entitled to our opinion because we are Elvis fans.
Of course. Of course.
And we do these things out of the utmost respect for Elvis. We never try and put him down. We're seeing the movie for what we are seeing it as.
Of course.
But I strongly give it a strong 9 out of 10. And that one out of 10 why I'm leaving it is because of the fact that it's got too many things going on at once. That's the only reason why I'm only giving it 9 out of 10.
But in context, that's a 9 out of 10 compared to other Elvis movies. Not 9 out of 10, not 9 out of 10 in the general movie world. Because I think, because I think that would be, we'd be accused of complete bias if we did that.
No, I just Elvis's movies, I mean.
I agree with that. Yeah, I would say so. It's a film that I can watch over and over and over. It really is. And as I say, the music in it's very, very, very good, and it's different from anything else. It's what I also, as I say, about the movie, about the songs as well, is that they show that change of direction that his musical career had gone in as well. So it's not as if he was like he'd been stuck in the same sort of style of songs of the previous movies in the 60s. He'd moved on just the month before with the Memphis, the year before with the 68 special, and then in the January and February of '69 with the Memphis sessions, and here we are in March, and all that change has been reflected in the songs. And that
they were very lucky they got that movie in at all. It was very, very, very close knit to the Vegas season. So
it was only 3 months.
We need to start getting more recommendations, folks. If you want anything from myself and Leon to review, put it down in the comment section below, because we won't get to it straight away, but we will fit them in throughout these episodes.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, please do it. Like I say, it helps the channel grow. I mean, we are getting there slowly but surely. 225 as of this video going out. Don't know what we're going to do next week. I've not really got a plan in place of review, Leon. I don't know what we're going to review next week.
No, I hadn't even thought about it. We'll just surprise people, will we?
That's it. I mean, oh God, there goes remote. We'll think of, there's so many things we can review, so we won't run out of juice, so and we'll be fine. But there's plenty. I think maybe go back to a 50s thing. I think maybe we can I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I mean, I was thinking about reviewing the 1958 June session. If you're up for that, Leon.
Yeah,
because it's the between session from King Creole, and then you've got Elvis's back. So that's that transition of that voice.
Yeah, your big hunk of love and something like that. Sounds like a plan.
And we could do maybe a comparison from that to say the 70s versions. But we'll think of something, just to sort of change things up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
We've done the 60s like twice, and then we've done the 70s. We'll maybe go back to the 50s and do, because it's an incredible session, and it created a great amount of hits.
Yeah, we've not beaten the 50s since we did King Creole, have we? So I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, good idea. We'll do the June. I think it was June the 10th. I think that was in Nashville. Elvis is on the leave, and he used to cut some records to tide him over till 1960. But we'll go into more of that next week, and that'll be our next video. And as always, it's been a pleasure talking to you folks, and I hope you've enjoyed this week. Short and sweet. But like I say, there's not really much to go into with this movie because there's not much songs in it. So we can't really delve about soundtrack and movie because there isn't much.
I still think it's been a good chat. It's been a good chat all the same. It's been
we didn't have any notes for this one because we kind of know the movie, and we just wanted to take it where it would go, and we both knew it was not going to be a long one. So hope you enjoyed it, and until next week, for myself and Leon, I bid you farewell. Take it easy.
Bye, everybody.